with Leigh Montaigue and Leigh Evans of the WTBA. If you're watching this video, please have a look at volume 1 of these series, because that gives a full explanation of everything that we're talking about. Now we're just going straight into level 2 and working with the next point. The first volume talks about what we're here to do, what we're here to explain. So please have a look at volume 1. Okay, the point we're looking at on this volume is called the mind point. It's just in here like that. Basically, it's quite an easy point to get to, because you simply punch someone in the teeth. Right? Let's see, you can see that. Come over here, Leigh. Let's take a close-up of this. Get a nice look at Leigh's pretty face. See there, like that, right? Now, if I just punch straight in there, what am I going to do? Break his teeth. But see there? See what happens? Sorry. See what happens to his head? See, I aim here, but it notches in there. It gets stuck. It doesn't get stuck when you're wearing a boxing glove. So with a boxing glove on, the best place to hit is straight across the tip of the chin, because when you hit here, it affects here. Hit yourself in the chin. Just stand there like that and hit yourself there and see what you feel. You don't feel this, because that's just a hard bit of bone. What you feel is back here. Oh, straight away you feel a shock here, and it's that jarring to this portion of the body that causes the knockout. It's not actually this. Sometimes it can be an actual kinking of the neck that can cause the knockout as well, but 9 times out of 10, when you see in a boxing match or a UFC fight or something, you won't always see that maximum force that causes the knockout. What you're going to see is sometimes they'll rush in and just a light little nudge, but just at the right angle to cause that effect, to cause the effect here. So what we're working with is attacking the point directly. Rather than attacking at a point down here to cause a shock up to there, we're going to attack the point directly on it. Because we don't have a glove on, and also we don't need as much power to create the knockout effect. So as I say, the best way to strike these points is just aim at the teeth, and see, it just goes into that point. If you try to hit it directly on, you can hit it like that as well, say with a back fist or something, it will still work, but you've got to get the point primarily with any Dimmack point will work in any direction. If I say to you, hit CV14 in an upward angle to cause the percussion into the heart, that's the best way to hit it. It doesn't mean that if you hit it down it will have no effect, or left or right. It's always going to have an effect, but the correct direction will give you the best effect. So that's the point we're working with now. Just in that little muscle point and pushing it in there. So we've got several techniques to get into it, but first of all we're going to get into a Western view of why this point causes a knockout.
Okay, running through this part of the face here, through the gristly part of the jaw here, is the trigeminal nerve. And the trigeminal nerve carries over 50% of the signals to your overall body, but predominantly this side of the face and inside of the mouth and the eye, but it carries over 50% of the overall signals from the brain to the body. So just by creasing the mind point, or creasing the trigeminal nerve, more to the point of a Western view of it, you're cutting out, split second cutting out, or however hard you hit it, you may totally destroy the trigeminal nerve, then death is imminent, because you've literally cut off over 50% of the signals from the brain to the body. Also, the trigeminal nerve governs the amount of blood which is fed to the front, or the anterior 2/3 of the brain. So this much of the brain, you're decreasing or increasing the blood flow to all of this area of the brain, the higher levels of the brain, the conscious thinking level of the brain, to the midbrain, which is the autonomic responses, so the responses that are telling the lungs to breathe, heart to beat, the things that are happening automatically in the body. You're actually depleting the blood supply to those parts of the brain by affecting this nerve here. Back there's less there to defend it. When you clench your jaw here, those muscles there are primarily for mandibular movement, but it's this trigeminal nerve that's telling that movement to happen. And here, these muscles here also come up and they've got a sheath over them which protect the trigeminal nerve from impact in this direction. Because we don't have, well, we would, but there'd be such massive impacts in nature if we were just living as an animal. There'd be a massive impact to the front of the face which is going to affect the trigeminal nerve. So the body has only built up a defense mechanism because it is such a vulnerable nerve and it's such a crucial nerve in the body. It's only built up a defense mechanism from strikes that are coming as an impact from the side of the face here. And again, that's, you know, it does protect the nerve to a degree, but it's not going to protect the nerve from a big shot or a very, very small weapon shot, which is happening straight into it there. But from here, it'll just go straight in through the, underneath the self-defense mechanism of the trigeminal nerve and straight into the trigeminal nerve there. Now you notice what's happening to Eli's head as well. If I push back on it here, I've got the maximum leverage there to get the big weight at the top of his head moving, so I get a kink in the brainstem on top of the nerve point strike. Yeah?
Something I found very interesting, many years ago, I always wondered, why is this point so important? Why are all these points so important? Before I got that full sort of explanation of why it all works, because I'm not a doctor, I don't have that kind of medical background, I simply looked at anatomic.
Yeah.
You can tell I'm definitely not a doctor. Anatomic sketch, diagram of the face, and it was just from that side, and it was just a description of all the nerves in the body. And it had, you know, a little nerve running up here, a little nerve in here, just singular nerve channels running through the body. And then here, it looked like a spaghetti junction in London kind of thing. It was just zigzags of hundreds of little curvatures and points of nerves and tangled all together right in that spot. And I was like, that's why it hurts so much when you get punched there. And literally, you do not need that much pressure. There are a few demonstrations of this. As I said in Volume 1, I'm not going to demonstrate actually knocking Leigh out. Knocking someone out is very dangerous. It's not good for your health to be knocked out constantly. So there's no reason for me to knock Leigh out. It is scientifically proven. And as I say, there are already many videos online where you can see these points working. When you see these guys, they stand here like this and they say, okay, I'm gonna use this and knock him out. And they will just, boom, just punch him, boom, straight in there, and it causes the knockout. When you see the guys going like this and they knock out, that's not real. That's garbage. That's a load of you know what. Trying to keep these professional and not swear. So, but when you see them, boom, actually physically punch him in the jaw, I've seen one where he whacks him on colon 10 and then punches in the jaw and causes the knockout. That is real. That is how the body will react. However, it won't happen quite as easy as that, because again, it's sitting duck techniques. The guy's just stood there, punched me in the jaw. There's no aggression coming forward. He's not being attacked. So when you're attacking, as soon as I attack, my body's natural defenses protect my whole body from being struck to some degree. It doesn't mean you can protect yourself from hard strikes, but the lighter bumps won't take effect on you. So if I hit Leigh just that kind of pressure across there, if he's just stood there, it'd knock him out. But if he went, all right, and bruising up his face, it's like he's ready for it, boom, and I hit him, it'd really hurt, but it wouldn't knock him out. That's what it's going to be like in a fight. So you still have to generate the right amount of pressure. It's not just about the perfect angle. The perfect angle is important, but you still got to have some power going into your strikes. But as we've talked about, it's shock power, not pushing power, not pounds of pressure. It's impact, shock power that we're looking at. So, all the techniques we're going to be looking at for this one are punching down the body. We aim at the teeth and push down into the body. Okay, a little explanation of some techniques now to work with that particular point. So what we want to get with this point, the primary thing is that forward notion into the body, into his head. If you just think, as I said before, punch him in the teeth like that, aim at his teeth with your knuckles, but push it back into his head. You see, sort of at a 45-degree angle, back through his head. And that will cause the points to just dig in and push that head back. As Leigh was saying before, if you get sort of a quicker, snappy sort of a punch, you're going to affect these points alone. If you're in a position where you can develop more power, so you've had a bit more time, you know, you're coming from backhand anyway, so you've got a bit more time to execute the strike, in which case, as you hit it, naturally more force is going to go through. You're going to affect these points, but also affect the whole brain stem. And that's why a lot of people get knocked out in car accidents, simply because of the percussion to the brain, this kinking on the brainstem. We use that to great effect in what we do. We might come here, bang, bang, we might do whatever, but as soon as we get here, we hit it directly for starters. Whenever we hit the brainstem, we drag it forward, causing that brainstem kink, and then put an elbow straight back in under his nose, for example. So you're causing that kinking to the brainstem. So that's just another topic. But getting on to some strikes and applications for what we're working with this mind point knockout. So we're going to work with one punch here coming through. Very similar technique to this one that we did for stomach 9 in the previous volume. Only this time I'm moving on to the strike because I need to get to this side of his body, you see. So rather than evading at this side, you can evade a strike in one of two ways, or there's many ways, but two main ways. I can go away from it and come back the other side, or as he throws out, I can stop it before it gets any momentum. So the key elements to just general self-defense is don't be where his maximum power is going to be. I'm here, so that's where his maximum power, because that's where he's trying to punch me. So if I go over here, it's going to have, it's slowing down by the time it gets to here, you see? But what we're working with our DMAC training, our setup points, that's where he's going to punch me, you see? So if I evade this way to get the neg 1 point, I'm going to evade, now look at where I've stopped his hand. Right where I was. Therefore, this is maximum power for him, so his maximum force is meeting my maximum force, and it's going to damage this point for the setup far more than if, say, for example, I do the setup here for that particular type of setup. In this case, though, we're stopping that punch before it comes onto us, so we're just cramming him down, just hammering straight into that arm, ideally aiming into the crease of the arm. We're actually hitting into lung 5 in this case. As I say, I'm not going into detail of setup points. We're focusing primarily on these for these video clips. So what we're working with this time is a punch just straight across here, like that, just like that. Notice how it just spirals over a little bit of an upward kick to the end of the shot as it comes in. So he throws that punch, that's what we're looking at, you see? See how all the strikes we do snap back. I'm not going like that, because that's not causing shock. It's got to snap back after the strike has been delivered. So that's what we're looking at there. Punch him in the teeth, but at the right angle, and it will travel down his jaw into that mind point, and then snap back into your guard. With all of these techniques, of course, we're just working on the 1 point for now, to train your subconscious reflexive action, your muscle memory, to know where these points are on the body. Later on, of course, you can just say, okay, I might go there, I might whack him in here, you can carry on and progress from there. We're just working with the 1 point. So he throws out, that's what we're looking at. See how I'm compressing and trapping his arm this time? I'm not just going like, see how I'm not just putting up a block to his arm? What I'm trying to do is he throws that punch, see what happened to his body? His whole body was controlled by my hand coming down and this punch coming through here, like that. We're moving onto that side of our body so that if he did throw a second punch, I'm already past him, you see? It's going to be very difficult for him to throw a realistic punch for me in this position. And keep in mind, I've already hit him here anyway, and by the time, hopefully, I've done enough damage to stop that second punch. But even if he's throwing that second punch, you're going to follow straight into a next oncoming strike. So that's our first technique. Straight in there with that one, sinking into the front leg, hammering down like that with your knife edge. But see, it's a hooking knife edge this time. Hammering down to that, stopping his momentum before it's even started, and punching that straight across his mind point like that. The second technique is he comes in with a straight punch, very similar to the one we used earlier for the stomach 9, like that. The only difference is this time we're going to hit here, we're going to bounce up and use the heel palm this time, same point. Aim, show on this side so you can see, aim straight at the teeth again, same thing, but you see? That's what you want to feel from your partner. If I feel, you see, or that, see the difference on the head? That's just me turning his head. See that? That's the effect you want on his body. With this point, with the stomach 9, I don't recommend even shoving it a little bit in training, especially if you don't know what you're doing. With this point, Don't hit it in training, but you can just kind of go there and then go, okay, I'm just going to do it very lightly, speak with your partner, communicate, and I'm going to just go, all right, is that okay? You know, and he's going to say, yeah, that's fine, I'm not feeling any adverse effect. Okay, so that means I can get a feel. Oh yeah, okay, I can feel where that's going. He can also tell me if I go like, oh, not getting it, or yeah. You can feel it without having to do damage to your partner. You can tell them, oh yeah, that was going the right way. You see? Okay, so that's that one. Sorry. Yeah. Bang. Comes in the other side. What, you evade it, coming down the arm this time, just like the stomach 9 technique, hooking the wrist, slamming into the arm, but bouncing off, you see, slipping up the arm and straight onto that same point again. This one requires a little bit more force because you're not getting quite as small knuckle in there, but it's a nice powerful heel palm, so it's going to be a very, very nice shot. A little bit harder to get in there with a fist on this side just because the angle of a fist wants to go that way typically. That's why we use the fist when we're punching across. But in this case, if you happen to be on this side of the body and you're going for the stomach 9, the mind point, we're going to be coming across with the heel palm. The final one was, coming in here, the same punch as the first one, but just from a straight punch angle. So we had bang. Now this time I'm just going to give you a slightly different technique. So on the stomach 9 version of this, we slipped up the arm into the point, you see, and straight into the point. It tends to work beautifully because where his arm is, it just guides it straight in. Both of these techniques will work with both points, but just to give you a variation of the methods, I'm going to give you a different technique here. So same punch, almost the same technique, but this time I'm going to parry it, you see? This will work better if you're a smaller person. If you're a bigger build than the guy attacking you, if he attacks, you're probably better off plowing straight through his guard. But if I tried to get one of my very small female students, for example, to do that technique, what's going to happen is it's going to kind of go like that. You're not going to have enough force to go through. Even if you get the angle perfect, you're probably not going to get enough force to take his angle out with the strike. I mean, in theory you could, but it would have to be so perfect, it's unrealistic, because nothing's ever going to happen perfect like you do in the dojo when it's on the street. So you want to use a method that feels, yeah, that feels good. I can feel like it works well for me. It's not like, it kind of worked. If it kind of worked, it's not going to work on the street. That's the general rule. So this one, we're going to give you the small man way of doing it. We're going to parry back down the arm this time. Rather than slipping up the arm, we're still striking the arm, however. We're not sort of throwing the punch and, doing some little pissy thing like this. He throws the punch, you see? And see where my punch is going. Bang. Straight into that same point as what we did before. So, no different. You evade the same, get out of the way of the strike, step, take the elbow and the wrist. So again, you're getting the colon points on the back of the arm, but you're bumping. Now the importance with this one is, now that we're not doing a straight lunging attack into the strike, we must make sure we use a very small circle. So don't go throw the attack. See, that's too big. See, that was a very large circle on my part. As a rule, you want to practice, this is just not a MAC rule, but just a self-defense rule. Any techniques you're practicing, always get your partner to throw 2 punches at you for any technique you're doing. This is after you've learnt it and you're comfortable with the technique. Now, if I say to Leigh, okay, throw 2 jabs, still keeping it in a set pattern, nothing to stress over. I know he's going to throw this punch first and then this punch, 2 straight punches. But he's just going to go boom, boom, that kind of speed, right? He does it. See, I'm going to get punched because I used too big a circle on that first movement. Now he does the same thing again. See what's happened there? Now that's happened quite nicely. I've actually hit him on the point and covered that naturally, because what I actually expected then to have here, I was out of the way. But even though I was just a little bit too slow, because that was a very fast punch coming through, what happened was, because my circle, if my circle had been big, boom, I'm going to get hit. But because my circle was small, it covered that and came straight to the point. So just by me thinking, punch him on the jaw, or on the mind point, it covered that punch automatically, because, look, the punch itself is covering me. I didn't have to go, block, he throws the punch, I better cover it, and then attack, you see? Just by me attacking, straight in, it got the point naturally without having to cover that second attack. So that's what you want to do with all your attacks, particularly the ones which, now see, this attack is 1, 2, you see? Now, the first attack that we did, for example, not so important to get the second punch because I'm hitting them at the same time. If your partner was doing something like this and going, well then yes, throw the second punch to tell them. But because it's a double attack, defense and attack in one motion, it's not so important there because you're attacking at the same time. The speed is always going to be there because it's together, like this. Whereas with this, there is a 1, 2 concept to the movement. So you've got to get this circle. You can practice it as a drill by just holding the arm there like that. So you're not even worrying about the punch yet. You just think, okay, I've got to hit this arm this way. So I'm hitting down his arm, but then I'm going to touch him on the jaw as quickly as I can. So not even throwing the punch. Just hit his arm, you see, and touch him on the jaw. Touch him on the jaw. But you have to hit it with enough force to, you know, he's got to feel something. I don't want him to just feel this kind. See, now I'm going to get pushed off, you see. I need to hit it with enough force to actually attack it. Keep in mind, in reality, you're not going to have to hit it as hard to move his arm because his arm is thrusting forward. Because of all that forward momentum, it's going to guide it past for that punch coming back, you see. But if he's just stood there, then of course he can brace his arm, so you can get actually an even harder feel of that strike coming through. Okay. That's all of them. That's the 3 techniques. So you learn them as, you can put them in any variation you want. And of course, as I say in all the volumes of this video set, use whatever techniques you want. So long as they're good, practical, get in there techniques, and at least you must apply the correct direction of strike. Let's say, for example, I don't know, you had a technique like this. Well, that wouldn't obviously be good because that's going just straight into the point, you see. So you could use that technique. Let's say that was something you've practiced in another month. You've come through there, for example. But see, you've got to just manipulate the technique a little bit. So, you see? So the point then is still going the correct direction down that person's body. And then put them into a set, so you're getting a body muscle memory to automatically go to these points. Like you saw earlier, when you're going, throwing those points in that little set darts-like application. So he's throwing a straight punch with that hand, the curve punch, bang. Then you've got to very quickly, instantly respond to a straight punch coming over here, pow, whack him there, and then very instantly again parry down the arm and come back with your follow-up punch. Same with with all the techniques that we're working with. As soon as you've done the technique, touch the point. So he throws that first, I've done my punch, I haven't done it like this. See, that's me looking at it and focusing on it like this. I want to look over his shoulder, and now, you see, but I did it without looking, you see. So I must be able to touch that point correctly and with the correct direction of strike without focusing on it first. And so you do the punch and then feel the point. Same on the other side, when he comes through here, and then just feel where that point would be on that. Same with the next straight, you've taken it across, strike it there, and alright, I can feel where that point is. And then you go back into it. But never hit the points with any kind of full pressure. These points are a little bit stronger than stomach 9. Stomach 9, just a press, nothing more than a press. Not even that. Even that, you can cause that, depending on who you're training with. Now, Leigh and I know that we have strong necks, we can take a certain amount of pressure because we know each other. So in training, sometimes, you know, things get out of hand. Sometimes we'll take a bit of a shot across even right on the stomach 9, just that much pressure. But because we're up, the energy's up, the adrenaline's up, the testosterone's up, so it doesn't completely knock you out. But we will feel like, oh, just give me a second kind of thing to let your energy rise back up, let your heart rate come back up. But never ever hit someone on any vital point unless you know them very, very well, they're your main training partner. Because you can hit some people just that much, and you can stop their heart beating. They might have a specifically sensitive carotid artery, so do not hit anyone up there. This point, as I say, you can put a little bit of just a shot, but no impact. Don't try impact. Just so that you can feel, oh, yeah, that worked for that technique. Okay.
Any of the nerve point knockouts, all of the knockouts we tend to stop a system of the body happening. It's not just a concussive knockout, which can be dangerous in itself. But mind point, and when we go on to work on different points in the series of videos, any of the nerve point knockouts, they are almost an electrical knockout. So the person will go down like they've had an electric shock. So there will be a degree of twitching and shaking when they go down. With the blood knockouts, with the nerve knockouts, people tend to lose their muscular integrity as well. So if you've had an accident in training and you've knocked somebody down and they're shaking, or they've gone down from the blood knockouts that we've used for stomach 9 in the first volume, they may well occlude their airway. If they go down, you've knocked your partner out by mistake and you hear them snoring, they're making a snoring sound, there they've occluded their airway. You need to lift up their chin. If you lift up their chin, they can get air into their body and they'll come around a bit quicker. But as I said, with the mind point shots and with the other nerve point strikes that we're going to do, when they go down, their body will tend to go tense and they'll shake a lot. I've had to use a vagus nerve shot in my job. The gentleman was very, very big, and he did go down and he did shake a lot, and it was very scary, even though I knew what I'd done to him. Sorry.
Okay, let's do the pad striking.
Ah, yes.
So
Just one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're working with the same emphasis on the strikes as what we were looking at before. So what we're looking at this time is that first one, covering the hook punch and coming through with the punch this way. So as I say, you're coming slightly across your body rather than in the stomach 9 version, so you go on this side of our body. It's a very similar punch, only this time we're on that side, you see? The weight is on the other leg, so it's giving you a different feel for the punch. So you're going to hold the mitt flat this time, rather than on that downward angle like that, so you're going to come straight in to the punch. But keep in mind, you are punching forward into the mitt. Try to get your mitt strikes, again, see, not like that. See what happened there? I can feel it's slipping, it's going past. Good idea, little tip for training. If you're trying to do a straight line attack, by where the impact on the mitt should be going in and shouldn't be slipping at all. Now, keep in mind other strikes, there are certain strikes where we do want to slip the mitt. We'll get into that later on. But for this type of strike where it's going straight in, little tip, put some fine sandpaper on your mitt or on your punch bag, something like that. Nasty. We used to have a punch bag where I grew up. It wasn't actual sandpaper, but it was a really coarse outer shell. I don't know what it was made out of. I was only a little boy, but I remember if ever you went like that on it, you'd scrape all the skin off your elbow.
So a really heavy canvas it was. I remember bleeding on
Okay,
myself.
yeah. So if you can make sure that your strike is not doing this, you punch a mitt like this, just tape a bit of sandpaper on it, but keep it fine, otherwise you will rip all the skin on and you'll be bleeding like hell. You don't want to deform yourself just for the sake of training. See that's not going to take any skin off my knuckles, you see? Whereas that's going to take the skin off my knuckles because I'm curving through. So that's going to train you in your accuracy, so that when you're hitting these points, you're not missing. You see, you're not curving it around this way. You're going in to the bag. Keep in mind, other points that we will get onto later do require the actual impact of the strike to be curvature, depending on where you happen to be striking to. So, of course, you've got to train other ways as well, by where you take the sandpaper off to do your curving strike. So, what we're looking at there is that. Just punch across, don't look at it. Again, look over here at the corner of the room, come through there. Snap your waist, open, close, open. So drive it from your waist. You're, of course, going to push off that rear leg a little bit, like that. Snap your fist over, like that. So again, loose hand, and close the hand on the contact, you see? If you're doing your training in the air, just show it here for the camera. Hear that? I hope you can hear that sound. You can hear my keys as well. That sound indicates that your hand is snapping into the contact rather than holding tension in your fist. So it's a good little training method. You won't hear that, of course, when you're hitting the bag because you're hitting the bag. So, cross shot like that. Take it across, punch it through. That's what we're looking at. You see? And make sure, always make sure you're punching again from a close range. Don't try to generate your power like this, because what's the use of that? You're not going to, that's not where we are in the technique, you see. If you go like that, you're simply too late. You have to be able to hit him in the space of time that he hits you. So if he throws that hook, that's not the space of time, you see. As he hits me, that's where I've got to hit him. So just from there, you see, that's the kind of pressure. This is why we need Dimac. Because if I just punch him on the chin from here, like that, that's going to piss him off. If he's, if he's a small guy, he's never been used to getting hit before, yeah, it's probably going to take him out and shock his system. But if he's a street fighter, if he knows what he's doing, a bit of a thug, you punch him on the chin or punch him on the nose, it's just going to annoy him. So, we've got to make sure we're getting that shock power into the right points of the body. Now, all points, just another question there that a lot of people ask, all points on the body can be conditioned to a degree. Generally speaking, the body points, the torso area, any areas where there's a bit more muscle around the point, they can be conditioned more than, say, for example, governor vessel 26 under the nose. You can't condition that at all. If you take a guy who's been punched on the nose several times, he's just broken all the nose several times and he just doesn't feel any pain in there anymore. But you hit him under the nose and that will always cause the same. We'll get onto that when we go onto that point. Same thing like the temple shots, there's no muscle there. So yes, if the guy has a bigger head, it will be stronger. If I take a small girl and smash her in the temple, I'm going to cave her skull in. If I take a bigger guy, it's not going to cause as much damage. So of course a bigger guy, you have to hit him harder. But yeah, so what I'm saying is, there's nothing really that I can do for myself to think, oh, I need to get this harder. I can't train this to be stronger, apart from just with age, my skull will get a bit bigger, but I can't train it. Whereas strikes around here, for example, around your ribs, around your chest, things like that, CV14, things like this, you can train that and get hit there to actually develop that strength, and that's what we call iron shirt training. But it doesn't make you a god. It doesn't mean you can get poked in the throat and not go down. You will always go down if you get poked in the throat. Okay, so that's what we're looking at there. Evasive strike, coming through with that particular strike there. Whip it back, snake it back like this. Have a look at our Fa Jing videos for lessons specifically on Fa Jing that we're working with. But from there, you see, from that range, that's what we're looking at. You see? Like that. Okay, the only other one, the third one rather, we went here, that's the same punch. So, bang, no need to practice that one because it is actually the same punch. So you're just obviously coming in, yeah, maybe just your hand would be in a different spot rather than being out here, different mindset, but the punch itself is the same. The second one where we came on this side and used the heel palm, that's a little bit different. So we're coming in that way. Okay, so what we're going to do here is keep in mind all of these methods we practice on both sides. Try also to practice them on small focus mitts as well as on a big kick bag, different things. So you get a feel for a lighter thing, you get a feel for a heavier thing, and so on. Vary it. You can use makuaras and all sorts of different stuff. Okay, so here we're going to, again, just aim at the heel palm. So drive it through like that. Again, a little twisting action, you see, on the strike. It's not just going to go flat like that, it's going to twist. It just has the effect of digging into the point a little bit more than just going flat. It twists into the point. But make sure, of course, the power is still going down and back on the strike. So same thing, you've evaded the shot this way this time and drive the palm straight up like that. Make sure it's particularly inherent with palm strikes that people tend to leave the hand there. So with the palm strike, same thing as before, recoil back to your standing leg. Snap your waist back. That's what we're looking at. Okay, again from here, from your close range. No reason, if you get into a fight, sure, you might be better off just going poke him in the eyes first and then hammer your strike in, if you know you can't generate any power in any other way. But for practicing, you want to practice something you can't do, not something you can already do. So when I was a kid, I knew I could get power like this. Anyone can get power like that. Well, not anyone, but you know, it's a lot easier from that kind of distance. So I thought, well, okay, if I get into a fight, I can't knock someone out from here when I was a kid because I knew I didn't have enough power. So I thought to myself, okay, so what I'm going to do in that, I'm going to stick my fingers in his neck, just that, just to put him off a little bit, or in the eyes, or up the nose, or something like that. And then, while he's going back, whoa, then I come in with my big haymaker just to knock his head off. But in training, I would go, okay, I can't do this. I can't hit from close range, so that's what I've got to practice. So that's what we're doing now. Little twist, see how it spirals into the mitt, like that. Try to concentrate your pressure just here on the base of the heel part, the bit that's kind of in line with your forearm. Sometimes we use the whole hand for different strikes, but for this particular strike, of course, we want to concentrate the energy right on that point. So get out of the way and strike straight through. That's what we're looking at, you see. Recoil, like that. And that's what we're going to be looking at with that particular point. That's the end of our mind point lesson. Thank you very much.